Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Krishna Rakshatano Jagatraya Guruhu Krishnam Namasyamyaham. Krishne Namarasetravo Vinihataha Krishnaya Tasmai Namaha. Krishna Deva Samuthitam Jagadidam Krishnasya Dasosmyaham. Krishne Tisthati Sarvametadakhilam. He Krishna Samrakshamam. Jai Sri Narayana. Today is 12th December. We'll start with Sloka 51. I'll share my screen.
There we can see it.
Please repeat after me. Karmajam buddhi yuktahi.
Karmajam buddhi yuktahi.
Phalam tyakva manishinaha.
Phalam manishinaha.
Janma bandha vinirmuktaha.
Janma bandha vinamuktaha.
Padam gacchantyanāmayam.
Padam gacchantyanāmayam.
Chant together.
Karmajam buddhi yuktahi. Phalam manishinaha. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha. Padam gacchati anamayam.
Okay, Lord Krishna is continuing Sloka 51. He's saying, Lord Krishna is saying, he in the previous Sloka, Lord Krishna talked about the buddhi that we need to have, right? The buddhi that we need to have is samatva buddhi. Samatvam yoga uchyate, right? So samatva buddhi is what we need to have. And so he's talking about buddhi yuktaha manishinaha. So that wise, the wise who have the equanimity, buddhi yuktaha, one who is united with that buddhi. Buddhi is the equanimity buddhi. So that person, the manishinaha, of course, is a wise person. So the wise person who have the equanimity, karmajam phalam tyaktva. So this is after giving up, tyaktva, after giving up, karmajam phalam, the fruits born of the work. So phalam is the fruit, right? So basically after giving up the attachment to the results of the work, right? It's not like giving up work or giving up whatever result you get, donating. It's not that. After giving up the attachment to the results of the work. Janma, so what happens after giving up? Janma bandha vinirmuktaha. They are freed, vinirmuktaha, they're freed of bondage of the birth, janma bandha. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha. So they are freed from the cycle of births and deaths. Okay? And what happens when they are freed from the cycle of births and deaths, or when they are freed from this karmic bondage which keeps us in the cycle of birth and death? They padam gacchanti anamayam. So they attain the place, padam, place, anamayam, where there is no suffering. Basically, taking birth in this, in this cycle, itself is suffering. So when they are freed from this karmic bondage, which keeps them in the cycle, or you can call it as bondage of birth, or karmic bondage, which keeps them in birth. When they're freed from it, they reach a place where there is no suffering. So you can take it as the moksha, state of moksha, from where there is no birth again, right? Moksha, liberation. So Atma, when it is freed from this bondage, it reaches a state where it does not take birth again, that place where there is no suffering. So, I mean, we have, some of us, we know these concepts earlier, so this doesn't sound new for us, but like, one who is trying to learn about, about Atma, about Karma Yoga, for them, they may be interested, right? So what happens if I have equanimity, if I do the work without any attachment, what happens? So basically, we are freed from the karmic bondage, and we will reach a place from where we will not take birth again, and that place, there is no suffering anymore.
I was slightly, deviating from this, sir. So, Devata Janma, right? With the Punya, more Punya we attain Devata Janma. But again, to get moksha, they have to come down to human life. What does it mean to them? Like, they don't have a body or anything, death, right? Like, do they come like a Bhagavan, like a Sankalpam, and they come down?
No, they have body too.
Oh.
Every Atma is always with body. So there is no place where Atma does not have a body, right? So the bodies that we know here are different from the body that you will have in Paramapada. Even Paramapada also, they will have divine bodies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the body that is not limited. See, today our bodies are all limited. So body of an insect is having some limitations. Body of a human, so of course, is much superior compared to an insect. And body of a devata is much more superior compared to a manusya. So deva, manusya, tiryaks, thavaras. All are bodies only. They're all atmas which have taken birth as those bodies. Okay. So yeah, even devatas have bodies. The bodies that we may not be able to see, n-dimensional, like so even Indra, Brahma has a body. Indra has a body, and Vayu, Varuna, Agni, all of them have bodies, but the body is not like us. Of course, an insect body is not like us. A devata bodies will not be like us. Our manusya body, they have no limitations like us, but their bodies also have limitations, and they also are not completely independent. They cannot wish that okay, they will take birth as a human. They cannot do that. So they're also bound by the karmic bondage. So we may take birth as devata. No, there's no doubt. Some of us have been devatas before. Okay, so we might have.
This is nice. We never thought about that one.
Yeah. So once our
this is really nice. Good to know.
Once our punya karma was over, we came down and took. We are taking bodies, these 4 bodies continuously. since God knows when, right? Only God knows. That's a perfect statement. So we have been taking births in these 4 forms. But we don't remember. Of course, all those concepts come little later. But yeah, so devatas are like us. They're also having a body, an atma, possessing a particular body. That body has characteristics. The body has some functions different from human bodies, much more superior, capable than human bodies. And human bodies are much more capable and superior compared to tiriacs that are like birds, animals, insects. And then stavaras, of course, they don't have the capability to even move by themselves.
Some of these concepts are very difficult to understand. I think it's more of a belief that either you believe it or not, right?
So yeah, so basically it is Lord Krishna who is Bhagavan, is the creator, is giving this knowledge directly. Okay, so this is what we need to, this is something that Lord Krishna says at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, that you surrender to me, right? Arjuna surrendered to Lord Krishna and said, give me this, tell me what is beneficial for me. I will do as you say, right? So Lord Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna. We have to be in the same state as Arjuna, that we are surrendered to Lord Krishna. We believe he is the creator. Of course, Arjuna didn't get that. He was still having doubts till 10th chapter. So when he saw the Vishwarupam, then he got fully convinced. Now we already know that Lord Krishna gave Vishwarupam already. So there is no problem for us to believe from day one, right? So or Sloka 1 itself. So
I'm trying to draw a comparison over here, means even like Christianity, whatever is told about Jesus Christ, I think it's just a, it's a matter of belief. So I guess in every religion, there is some element of belief that, you have to be convinced about what's being said, rather than try to rationalize it, try to think about it logically or something. So yeah, difficult concept, but you got to get around it.
These are certain things which are backed by logic and science. Okay, it is not pure somebody coming up with some their beliefs and then saying it. There is logic, there is science behind. So those who want to do research to find what is the science behind it, they can absolutely do it. There is absolutely science behind it, logic supporting it. But we don't have to, it's like E is equal to MC square. If somebody says, you believe it, or if you don't believe it, you go and do the research 10 years and then find out, yeah, it is true. So for us, it is easy for us to simply go ahead with the truth, which has been the truth for millions of years. It is not like somebody came up with some idea a few hundred years ago, which is which can be refuted. Like science, they are coming up with all kinds of models, which are changing as technology develops. This one has been time tested for millions of years. So it is something that we are assured that we can believe in, and also it is Lord Krishna who gave this. It is history. It is not like somebody just coming up with some ideas. And Lord Krishna actually gave the Vishwarupam and all that. So it is something that we can go ahead. Of course, people don't want to believe that they absolutely have the right to do so, and Lord Krishna has given us the knowledge what happens to those who don't follow these principles. And even those who follow these principles, there is no guarantee, right? So, but we are making an effort. But those who don't believe it, they will not be able to make an effort in the right direction.
Yeah, sometimes, Sham, what I say when people ask, so what science says is first you prove and I believe.
That's the truth. Yeah.
What we say in yoga and spirituality is, I tell people, look, you don't have to believe God, but once you start practicing, don't blame me if you become spiritual. What we mean to say is, this is something actually, when you believe and go with trust, it is experiential in nature, remember.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
So,
Yoga.
what people do is, they don't have the, I'm not saying, generalizing, right? Where people get stuck is, they don't, first of all, we have to find a guru. We have to 100% believe the guru, trust the guru, and go in his path, because he is the one who has seen it, who has experienced God, and is trying to put us in that path. And you have to give it a try, right? With belief. For example, when a child wants to learn alphabets, if they start questioning at the age of 5, why should I learn alphabet? We can't really get them to school level. Spirituality is also like that.
Yeah.
Yes, perfectly said.
That's a very good example, Balaji. I might steal that.
So, when we are learning 1, 2, 3s, we don't really understand why 1, 2, 3s ABCs, right? Yeah. So, but everything depends on it.
Only difference is, Balaji, when they're 5, they listen to you. When I'm 50, I'm not going to listen to anybody. Right? The shield is becoming so solid, it's like very difficult to get through.
Sure.
But there
is one sloka for that also.
Okay.
I mean, so amazing. There is we'll go through that. Just remember this point, and then we'll come to it a little later.
Okay. I have a question. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Balaji.
No, I was going to say, I don't mean to say I've been for many, many years in this, practice. The few years I have been there, I have seen people 100%, 360 degrees change.
I was just saying it for fun, Balaji. It was just a 5 to 50 difference. That's why I think you do know that you do know it's hard, right? For making this acceptance and fully surrendering itself is a big challenge, but I think.
Right. So I mean, that is that's why at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna mentioned what should be our attitude, for getting this knowledge, and at the end also reiterated again what should be our attitude, and also Lord Krishna said who we should give this knowledge to. Right? There is no point in giving this knowledge to one who does not believe it. Lord Krishna was very clear in that. So it's not like another religion where that they force, right? There's no force here. There's no need for force also. If you don't want to follow, that's your choice. Like that he mentioned. So it is, and we should not give this knowledge to one who does not believe in all that. So we will follow the same approach.
I apologize. This may not be, I don't know if this is a good example or not, but probably all of you have heard about Swami Vivekananda.
Yeah.
When he went to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, this is exactly what he said. He said, I heard that you keep on propaganda that there is God, you have seen God, that's what you tell people. And I don't believe that. So with one touch, of course, this, once again, I'm just repeating what I heard or read. So with one touch, Vivekananda went into Samadhi for a very long time. So, I mean, in other words, what happens is what we need here for spirituality is observation. So you go back, that's the starting point. But all of us, we're allowed to get questions clarified, question, all that is fine. But there are many, many examples in our history. That's why, see, we have, let's say, I'm just saying 30 years, 40 years left in our life. We have two choices. We can reinvent the wheel of what has been given to us for hundreds of years, or start with some faith. I'm not saying you have to blindly drop into that. Then, the progress will be much faster, at least in my experience.
I have a clarity question, Varaprasad.
Sure.
So maybe I'm confusing with some of the things that I'm trying to learn in Vedanta. So if the consciousness is one, right? If there's only like Atma is everywhere and we are all, it gets manifested in different bodies, etc. So what does it mean by saying like that we will come back? So who is the we that's coming back? Who is this we?
Very, very good question. So that is where some interpretations have come, right? So do we have one Atma and nothing else? Or do we have each of us are individual Atmas? Okay, so there is a differentiation in interpretation, So here we are basically based on what the true meaning of Bhagavad Gita is saying, without mixing it with other scriptures. It is going towards the direction where it is all of us are individual Atmas of equal. I mean, we are all equal. I mean, there are slokas coming later also, right? So it is not one Atma, like, it does not say that you and I are occupied with one Atma. Your body and my body is the same Atma. It's not. Paramatma is same. So we will go into those concepts a little later, the differentiation. But what happened is the term Atma, right? Atma can be applied to the individual self or Paramatma also. Brahma can be applied to Brahma, four-headed Brahma, or Parabrahma, which, people call Brahma. You can take it as four-headed Brahma, or it can apply to Paramatma also. Brahma can also apply to a body. Brahma can apply to this entire universe. So we have to, that's why Balaji Garu just now mentioned, right? We need to have an Acharya who can give us the right meaning to us. Otherwise, it will be confusing. Because the same word has multiple meanings. If you use a wrong meaning in the wrong place, we get totally confused, right? So Lord Krishna clearly saying here, if you, with equanimity, perform Karma Yoga, you will reach a place from where there is no birth, right? If at the same time someone else is not performing Karma Yoga, that person is in the same cycle of births and deaths. Now, if it is the same Atma occupying two people, one performing Karma Yoga and one not performing Karma Yoga, then Atma is a part of Atma is staying in Paramapada, which cannot take birth, and another part remains in this universe, which becomes confusing, right? Because then Atma can be divided, has to be divided, because one is not taking birth, another one is taking birth. But another, Sloka says that Atma is, minute, minute, cannot be divided further, right? So basically, if we take Atma, Atma is everywhere, that Atma is Paramatma, right? So just like as I said, right, Brahma can be a four-headed Brahma who is a body, right, doing the creation. And Brahma is Parabrahma or God, who is not four-headed Brahma. Both are Brahmas, right? Same way, Atma, if you just say Atma, it could mean an individual Atma like us, or it could mean Paramatma. We have to be very careful in applying, the meaning in the right place. So again, different people have come up with different interpretations. So we don't want to go into refuting other interpretations. That's not our duty. We just go by whatever our acharyas have mentioned to us and understand the meaning. If the meaning doesn't make sense, you can ask question. If I were to if I was given the meaning that there is one Atma spreading everywhere, and Bhagavad Gita in this particular sloka specifically, and there are other slokas as well, saying that if you do this, then you will go to Paramapadam, then the other person who is not doing also should go to Paramapadam, or all of us, the Atma can be split, should be split, right? So it becomes confusing. So we are, our interpretation is we are all individual Atmas of equal nature. Each of us are acquiring karmic bondage, which are different from everybody else. Based on our karmic bondage, we are taking birth. If a particular self, like say a great soul, Acharya, their karmic bondage is completely wiped out, cleaned, they go to Paramapadam. It does not mean that other people are going along with him, because their Atma is spreading everywhere. So each individual Atma can acquire karmic bondage independently. So it's like a small record that is carried with the Atma, going from one birth to another birth. That Atma is carrying that record, which we call it as Sukshma Sharira. So again, that is not concept that is not here, but it is there in other scriptures. So Atma goes from one body to another body, carrying the karmic bondage with it, carrying the vasanas with it. Okay, so it is like a small chip it carries. And that Atma cannot independently determine what body it gets. It is dictated by Paramatma. Paramatma, based on certain rules, it is not like Paramatma has some bias. Every time, dictating, okay, this Atma should take this one, that one. It's not like that. Based on certain rules, this entire nature runs, like how, sun and earth are, there's a science behind it. It's running for millions of years like that. Like that, there are certain rules that everybody follows. Devatas follow in supporting the creation. And we are taking birth based on those rules. Right? So we cannot, the rules are already written. So if we follow certain principles, based on that, this is going to happen. Like what Lord Krishna is saying, that if you do your duties with equanimity, after leaving, after giving up attachment to the results of the work, then you will reach a place. That's a principle that is given. So later it is clarified that it is not in just one birth, right? Because you are carrying this karmic bondage for many, many, many births. So a certain portion of the karmic bondage is removed when we do the activity with equanimity. When the entire karmic bondage becomes zero, that's when you get the Parapada. So, got it? Is it clear so far? So, it's not like in this birth itself, if I do with equanimity, it is guaranteed. There's no guarantee like that. Lord Krishna again clarifies later, right? So, and so unfortunately we have to wait for some of the slokas. Otherwise it
So,
will
sir,
be...
this was helpful because I am getting confused with the other scripture. That is why I mentioned that this is actually much more easier to absorb and apply. I'm struggling with the other interpretation. I'll be very honest, right? So I'll just leave it at that. But I'm just very confused with the other interpretation.
Yeah, very good point that you made. I mean, I didn't want to mention it upfront, and say that, oh, this interpretation, and that interpretation. We don't want to create some confusion there. But
got it.
Definitely, as an individual, when I went through this, as it is documented in Bhagavad Gita, I didn't go through all the scriptures. As the knowledge is given to us by Acharya, this interpretation makes sense that we can apply with peace. Otherwise, we will have a lot of questions with us. When we go to a very high level, maybe there could be a change in our perspective. But at least at this time, at the level that we are in, the interpretation that I am providing with, of course, not my own, our acharyas, Sri Chinna Jeeyar Swamiji and his acharya and his acharyas, it's coming from thousands of years. So this is the interpretation of the Vedas and our scriptures that is applied to Bhagavad Gita, and given that knowledge is given to us and we are sharing with you. So we'll follow this interpretation throughout. There should be no change, confusion anywhere. When we went through, that people were confused because this Atma word comes some places. Atma also means mind, for your info. So it is not just the self. In some cases, it would mean the mind or manas. So when we go through this entire Bhagavad Gita, right, we apply the same interpretation so that it is not confusing. So we'll go with that. So each of us are individual Atmas. We do not perish. Starting first sloka of Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord Krishna says, Natu eva na aham, right? Natveva aham na jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha. So Lord Krishna clarified that neither you nor me nor all these people are not existing ever, before, now, or in future. So we will always be existing. So we were existing in the past, we will exist in the future, right? So if there are certain interpretations where it says that Atma goes and mixes with Paramatma and it's gone. That kind of interpretation does not answer what Lord Krishna said directly there, that you would never perish. Atma is avyaya, never perishes, never reduces, never changes. So we will go through the same interpretation. So let us go with that. We are all individual Atmas, irrespective of whether this Atma is taking birth in an insect or as a mountain or as a human or an animal or Devata. Atma is same. It's only that because of the karmic bondage, the kind of experiences that the Atma has to go through, based on certain rules that God has created for this entire universe, is the creator. Based on certain rules, the bodies are assigned to these Atmas. So all of us today in these bodies, we could have been in Devata bodies in the past. We can be in Devata bodies in future. We could have been insect bodies in the past. We could be insect bodies in future. So there is, depending on the type of activities that we are doing and how we are doing that, the future body will be determined for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, this will be elaborated a lot further as we go along. So I might have given a little bit, and hopefully, I mean, it will be clear as we go along.
This was very helpful, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll go to Slokas 52. 52 and sharing. Can you see the?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. Please chant. Yada te moha kalilam.
Yada te moha kalilam
Buddhir tarishyati.
buddhirvyatitarishati
Tada gantasi nirvedam.
tada gantasi nirvedam
Shrotavyasya srutasya cha.
Shrotavyasya srutasya cha.
Let's chant together.
Yada te moha kalilam buddhirvyatitarishati tada gantasi nirvedam Shrotavyasya cha.
And this sloka actually answers something that we just discussed. So, yada, when, te buddhihi, when your buddhi, buddhi is translated as intellect or wisdom, okay, in English. If you, but I mean, we can get used to the word buddhi itself, right? There are certain words like yoga, how we got used to, we can get used to buddhi also. So, te buddhihi, your buddhi, moha kalilam vyati tarishyati, moha kalilam vyati tarishyati, crosses the filth of delusion. Okay? When your buddhi crosses the filth of delusion, tada, then, nirvedam gantasi, you will feel disgust or dejected. Okay. Gantasi, is saying that, is talking to Arjuna. So he's telling you will feel disgust. Of course, this knowledge is given to us, so we will, Lord Krishna is addressing us also. So, discussed about what? Srotavyasya, srutasya cha. Cha means and, right? Srotavyasya, about what is to be heard, whatever we are going to be hear in future, whatever is to be heard, future tense. Srutasya cha, about what has been already heard. So when your buddhi crosses the filth of delusion, moha kalinam, right? Tada, then you will feel disgust about what is to be heard and about what has been heard. Okay, so what is that delusion? Buddhi we know. Buddhi is our intellect, wisdom, or you can also translate it as knowledge. So when our buddhi, when our intellect, our discriminating ability, okay, crosses the delusion, overcomes the delusion, Okay. The delusion is not simple delusion. It's the filth. Means it is the one that is. It is like you're going on the road and the road is all muddy, and you're walking on the road. It becomes, our body becomes dirty, right? So our buddhi, when it is deluded, it is causing us to catch all this dust or mud, right? That is the karmic bondage. That is the sin that we are acquiring. Okay, so when our buddhi is equanimity, then equanimity and self knowledge of the self and all that. So then we do not get this filth. When we do not cover ourselves with that filth of karmic bondage or sins. So Lord Krishna is saying, when your buddhi crosses delusion, let us see what is that delusion. Can anyone say what are all the delusions that cause us to acquire filth? Literally, I mean, see, there are certain things that only when we apply physically, then only we'll understand. Right? Somebody who is in a pitiable state. Last session we saw, someone is in pitiable state. We can't really connect to it unless we think of someone physically who is pitiable. Now the Atma becomes pitiable like that. So if we are able to understand the pitiable state physically, then we can apply to Atma. So here the filth of delusion is talking about we are acquiring all that mud. So what is that knowledge?
So the
that is giving us this filth.
Yeah, so the desires, what we have go to. The desires. Why do we have desires? To have happiness, right? To make us happy. We think that the happiness is permanent. The desires what we, right? That's the reason, right? I'm sure everyone has a desire, kind of a thing for a desire, and makes us happy. And we feel that that's a permanent happiness, but which is temporary, right? We don't know that. Those things. That's what I think.
Right. So desire definitely gives us acquires us.
Raga Dvesha.
Raga Dvesha.
Yeah, Raga Dvesha is the main culprit.
So this is a very good. We do fishbone analysis, right? We talk about why, and go to the root cause.
What is Raga Dvesha? Sorry for the ignorance.
No ignorance.
What is that?
Raga is attachment, Dvesha is hatred.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
The way
it's
defined as our mind's inability to let go of positive experience is Raga. Mind's inability to let go of negative experience is Dvesha.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
For Yoga Sutras.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Yeah. So why do we have desires? Why do we have Raga Dvesha?
Because like Badrigara said, that we always think that's what happiness.
You have a karmic bondage, right? Because of karmic bondage. You get from
right. Why do we have, why do we feel the need to have desire?
Then I think attachment something, right? I mean,
the proximity.
Why will we be attached? Why do we want to be attached?
Because of ignorance, right? That's what we are saying. We have,
of course, because of ignorance.
Of affection or love.
Dependency.
What's that?
I think maybe we are so dependent on, probably.
Because of our vasanas?
Because of our vasanas. That's true, but but why do we feel the need to have desires and running after the results and getting attached to the results?
Is it because comparison, we see the other person and then we think that we should also be like him or something? Is it the
why do we become like that?
Because we want to be happy, right? We want to be, at the end of the day, we want happiness, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to be happy, and
Right.
whatever that brings us happiness, right? So we'll be behind that.
Yes. So the root cause is thinking that I am body.
Okay. Okay.
The basic.
You can't say it.
So see, all the things that you're talking about are related to body, right? I mean, I have a desire. What is a desire? I need to have. I want it for myself. The desire is for the bodily pleasure, bodily comforts, bodily attachments, bodily feelings that you get. Everything is, I am, right? For example, if, someone else loses, say $10,000, we don't feel that much, right? Or someone else gains $1 million, we don't feel the same way as we did it, right? But if we think that we are them, let us imagine, let us say, say a wealthy person, any wealthy person you take, imagine that wealthy person lost $40 billion in 1 year. Okay. Okay. $40 billion in 1 year. Now put yourself, if you don't put yourself in the same shoes as that person, you don't feel it much. Or another wealthy person lost $16 billion overnight or within a month. These are all recent statistics. So you don't feel much. So you'll read it like a news and then, okay, what is that? You don't, you'll go on doing your own duty. Imagine you had $16 billion and you lost in 1 month. How will you feel? And now totally, we can't imagine even, right? I mean, if we have $100,000 and we lose 10,000 out of it, itself our mind goes away, right? So what's the difference there? The difference, what's the difference between, like, the other person losing $16 billion did not pinch us, but $16,000 if we lose, it pinches us a lot. The difference is that we did not think that we are them.
Yeah.
Right. So something happened to me, then either I'm happy or sad, because we are associating ourselves with this body. We are not associating with that body. Okay. So that's why we didn't feel it. So when we are associating ourselves with this body, it gives us happiness or sadness. We are feeling that I am this body. If I feel that I am that body, again, I will lose my mind, because, of course, no one thinks that way. And for, other than the very, the people who are at a very highest level of spirituality, they feel for everybody in this universe. We don't typically have that. Like if somebody is really poor or handicapped and they're not able to survive properly, there are people who feel for them as if it is happening to them, like Lord Sri Ram is an example. So basically we are thinking that this is my body. So because we are attached to this body, anything that happens to the body pinches us. Anything we want more for this body, more favorable things for this body, or less unfavorable for things for this body. So the root cause is, the delusion is that we are thinking I am body. That is the first root cause of the delusion. That is the delusion that we have. Then second delusion is that we are focusing on the results, not on the work, right? We don't care about the work. We only care about the results. Okay. So Lord Krishna said that karmani eva adhikaraha. So you have rights only to the work, not to the result, right? So we unfortunately do the opposite. We think that the work is not our response, our right. We have right only to the work. We don't think that. We think that we have the rights on the result, right? So when the result is not according to what I expected, obviously it pinches us, because we thought we are just like this house belongs to me, right? We have a right on this house. Somebody comes and says, no, this is not your house. We feel it, right? So same way, we claim rights on the result. When we are doing the work, we are claiming the right on the result. And then if the result does not happen, it is like taking it away from us. Something got taken away from us. How can that happen to us? That's what we think, right? If something does not work out as we expected, unexpected things happen, or things, favorable things are taken away, unfavorable things come to us, and we say, how did that happen to me? As if we had the right on the other thing, more favorable thing, right? So that is the second delusion that we have. Then we are working for the results. Okay, focus on the results, claiming rights on the results. And then the third is we are working for results. Okay, so if I am working for results, we are definitely acquiring karmic bondage. We should work. Okay, working for the results is, of course, you have certain results in certain goals. I think we discussed last week, but that should not be our driving force. We are driven by the results only, then we are in trouble. We should be driven by the work and our duty. Okay, so this is where the all of you very well educated, and if you spend the same 1.5 hours that you're spending for Bhagavad Gita, you'll probably be getting much higher salary, much more money, right? But you decided that, no, I want to go through this process, right? So you are not focused on that result which is getting more money and things like that. You're focused on doing this work, even though you may not see the result immediately, right? Because this is the duty for us. This is what we are learning. This is my duty I have to do. This is one example. There are, for Arjuna, it is his duty to fight in Kurukshetra. For other people, say professor, it is his duty to teach. For a soldier, it is their duty to fight. So like that, it is their duty. Because of the duty, they are doing the work. But unfortunately, what we do is we focus on the result, and we work for that result. And then another delusion is, I am doing the work. Okay, these will be elaborated further, but we think that I am doing the work. Who is doing the work there?
Body
is doing work. Yeah.
Body is the one that is doing the work. So when the first delusion that we had was, I am body. So when body is doing the work, we are associating ourselves saying that I am doing the work. So when the result comes, the result is for the body. Now, is the body doing the work independently? No. Body is driven by certain other forces and things like that. So we have to obviously recognize everything else that is involved in doing the work. We can't just claim that body by itself did the work. Of course, if there is no food, body cannot function, right? So body is one of the factors in doing the work. I am not the only factor doing the work. Atma is there in the body, and then body has to do some work, so it is doing the work. That is how we need to think. Of course, it will be elaborated further. So
and on that one also, there is other complex interpretation that even if we think that we are doing the work, it's a combination and coordination of many things that you get the results. So that also in itself is, that is ignorance. You think that, oh, you know what, because of me, this project became very successful. It's not that, it has to have a lot of things that have to come together, and in order for that to be successful. So yeah, it's not
perfect.
always that misconception of I'm doing the work is, not right, I guess.
Yeah. So perfect. That is the next delusion. My work is getting me the results.
Yeah.
Right. So that is another delusion that we have. So when the result is positive, we become elated. And then when the result is negative, we become depressed, thinking that result is directly because of me, my work. Right. And of course, when we think that the result is because of my work, we think that we have rights on the result because I'm the one doing the work, right? Because the first delusion, one of the other delusions is I am doing the work and my work is getting the result. So obviously, if you apply the transitive property, so the result belongs to me. That is the next delusion. We think that the results belong to me. So all these are delusions, which are, again, for those who do not have these concepts, these are the normal principles of life, right? Isn't it? I mean, I'm doing the work, my work is producing the results, and the results belong to me. I need to enjoy the results, right? So and I work for the results. I mean, first we'll see, okay, this result is good for me or not. Then I say, okay, then I decide to do the work. It's not the other way. I do the work irrespective of whether the result is good or not. That is a proper thing to do. Okay. So, but the thing is that I am doing this work primarily, the only reason is to get that result. So what happens is as soon as the result is not according to what we expect, then we totally get depressed. Right? Because the only reason why, see, the only reason I go to a movie theater is to see a movie, and if I don't get the ticket to see the movie, I spend 2 hours, spend $200 to go there or something like that, let us say, and I'm not able to get the result, totally get depressed immediately. Why did this happen to me? Why? I mean, then people start fighting there, right? In India, at movie theaters, people start fighting. The other day, we were going to an airport with one of my friends. So we were discussing the same concept, like, okay, it is our duty to go to the airport. We have to get the tickets, go to the airport on time. Then, so that is our duty. Whether we actually get into the flight and then fly, that is the result, is not in our hands. So we were discussing that as an example. And then it so happened that 10 minutes later, we found out that he forgot his passport. He forgot his purse, no passport, no driving license. So we went all the way to the airport on time. He had the ticket, but he could not get onto the flight. So we can only do the duty. The result, whether the result is according, maybe if the flight can get cancelled or flight is full, so they may sometimes they say, oh no, you cannot get onto the flight. Anything could happen, right? But so if I have this concept of, okay, I did my duty, the result is not, whatever may be the result, it is not directly the result of my work. Okay, then we will not be losing that equanimity. Otherwise, what will happen is why did this happen? Why did I forget? And all that. I mean, of course, there is some kind of a negligence also on that, but it's not always negligence that, people have they put in 100% effort, still they may not get the right result. So because of our delusion, we are acquiring karmic bondage continuously. That is the filth. So once we cross with our buddhi, with the buddhi equanimity, that's why the samatva buddhi is the one that we need to have it, ingrained in us. Like we have to always think of that when we have that samatva buddhi and perform karma yoga with that buddhi, samatva buddhi includes, how do we get samatva buddhi without having the knowledge of self? So that's why the knowledge of self is given first, then our buddhi, we understand, this is the reason why we need to have samatva buddhi, and then we will be able to have the, once we understand the Atma concept, then we will be even able to accept that we need to have samatva buddhi, otherwise we will not. So once we have that knowledge, we practice and have that buddhi in us, and with that buddhi we perform the activities. Okay, then we cross the filth of delusion, and Lord Krishna is saying, this is the second part, then you will feel disgust about what is to be heard and about what has been heard. What has been heard so far is totally opposite, right? So we need to have as many desires as possible, acquire as much possession as possible. You need to be praised. We need to, like work for praise, money, honor, and all these things. So whichever gives you more money, go after it. Whichever gives you more comforts, go after it. Irrespective of everything else, right? That is what we have been learning so far in our life. We have heard about that and we have been practicing that. It's not like we simply started practicing without getting that knowledge, and then through hearing and then through our other people, right? So we have been exposed to the opposite, which is the delusion. And so once this delusion is crossed, once we get the proper knowledge, then we'll understand, oh my God, what have I done so far? And then, so that is what is already heard. What I learned and what I've done so far. So we get disgust about it, because we acquired so much filth. Like we walked on a filthy road for so long. We acquired so much filth on our body. How you feel, right? We get disgusted. Till the time we looked at ourselves, we may think, oh, no, it's happy, everything is fine. But once you, let's say, go in front of a mirror and then see ourselves with all the mud and things like that, then we suddenly feel disgusted about it, right? Feel dejected. So that is how Lord Krishna is very clearly saying that you will be dejected about what you heard so far and what you are going to hear. So world is not going to change. Is the world going to change? No, it's going to same run after materialistic pleasures and run after the results and have as much comforts as possible, have hatred and all that. That is actually, nowadays with social media, it's even amplified further. It is used to gain money. earn money, to become kings and politicians and presidents, and people are using that hatred as a commodity for their own wealth, for their own, place in the society. That's it's so unfortunate. So it has become even further, because again, it's a little bit digressing, but it is important. So if we are not emotionally disturbed, right, we don't really go and start fighting in outside. I mean, if everything is fine for us, right, we'll stay in a house and keep enjoying. But we are something happened, like we are emotionally put in a state where we feel disturbed. Then we go outside and express it, right? Even inside the house also. If I'm just peaceful, happy, I will not open my mouth. But if something emotional disturbed, then they express outside. Now, the concept of social media is more people getting onto the platform. The more number of people get onto the platform gives them more money. The only way that can happen is all these people have to be emotionally disturbed. So the only thing that they want to do is emotionally disturb all the people. This is the bottom line. So the good part is, like, okay, when really people are getting, like there is a place where there is oppression, or there's a place where, say, satsang is happening. So you spread the message, right? For example, we do a peace prayer for the entire world. You get 50 clicks. But if you spread hatred on the internet, then you get 50 million hits. Okay. So this is what is going to happen. We feel disgusted about it. We feel dejected about it. I don't want to be in this. I don't want to be part of this. Right?
Yeah, Varaprasad Garu, this, like, in this, and forgive my ignorance if I forget, when did even Krishna, because we already started with this Atma concept, right? So we started thinking, okay, whatever he's saying is Atma qualities. But I don't think he ever mentioned, okay, this is Atma, or naming, Namakarna.
Right.
He never did it. So
No.
when did even Arjuna, or it's all like he's telling, ఏదైతే equalities ఉంటే అది చెప్తాను అంటున్నాడు కానీ.
Yeah, so we basically we went ahead and defined Atma because we know that that's what he's going to say clearly later, and also our other scriptures have said it. But if I really say you will be there forever, I don't have to say Atma, your Atma. Your Atma doesn't make sense. So unless you think your body and then there's an Atma that is inside your body. So I cannot say your Atma. So the only thing that I can say you, right? If I don't want to use the word Atma, then I can say you. That's what Lord Krishna is referring to Arjuna as you. Tadagantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya srutasya cha. When he said Gantasi, you will attain, right? I mean, Arjuna's as body is not going to attain a place where there is no suffering, right? Or Arjuna as a body will not be relieved of karmic bondage. So when he says you, I mean, everywhere, not just this sloka, everywhere he's saying that you will get, you will attain, you will your karmic bondage will be relieved. It's all referring to Atma only. So he doesn't have to use the word Atma. So yes.
I'm only thinking like, when did it come into even picture? Like, okay, this is called Atma name. Like, I know the 6th chapter is named Atma Samyama Yoga, but
there we'll look at
okay,
it
we
where
will,
it
yeah.
has come. Yeah, we'll come back on to that one. I think 4th chapter. Atmaiva Atmahi Bandhuhu is 6th chapter. So, but I don't know whether before 6th chapter he used the word Atma before.
I don't see. Probably I might have missed, but yeah.
Right.
Maybe we'll come across. Yeah.
Atmaiva Atmahi Bandhuhu there is mind is your friend, right? You are there is Atma. So, not the body. So, yeah, so here we are Atma, not body, right? All of us, when we refer to ourselves, we have to refer to ourselves as Atma. And Atma in this body. I am not body. I am possessing this body because of my karmic bondage, because I have to go through some experiences. This body is the one that is doing the work. This body is the one that is given some duties. Atma is not given duties. So because I took this body, I am born with certain duties along with it. So I have to perform those duties. And then, I'll be going to another body. And then here Lord Krishna is clearly saying that when our delusion, when our knowledge is very clear, right? So when we are not deluded anymore, when our buddhi crosses that delusion, imagine that delusion is like a river. When our buddhi crosses that river full of filth, so we go to the other side. When the buddhi shines, when we are able to determine what is right for me, what is not right for me, then we will start. We will feel disgust about the things that we have heard so far and did so far. And if we don't make any change, if we continue in the same approach, right, we will feel disgust about the things that we are going to do, or how the things are, outside. So obviously we will not want to continue in the same place. Like if I go to a place where there's a lot of, say, I expected, a particular place, a train, for example, I'm taking a train, and the train, I expect it to be peaceful, calm, I can do some work. But the train is full of people, it's all rush, I'm not able to do anything. We want to get out of that train and I want to catch another train, right? I mean, same way, if we are faced with a situation that is disgusting for us based on the knowledge that we have, then we want to get out of it. The way we want to get out of it is to practice this karma yoga, right? Because there's no other way to get out of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how do I get out of it? Is like in case of the train example, you can get out of the train and catch another train, right? But this is not like that. This is like even unfortunately, say somebody they want to get out of it thinking that it is going to end. It is not going to end, because the same experiences have to continue, right? So unless we clean ourselves with the body that is given to us, with the knowledge that is given to us, we clean ourselves, we'll not be able to get out of it. So it basically forces us to come out of it. I think Balaji Garu was mentioning that, like in the beginning, right? So once you know this knowledge, right? You don't want to go back. Why? Because you understand what it is, the greatness of it. So we may have some reservations about this knowledge, some doubts about it, whether I want to, but once we get this knowledge, we don't want to go back, right? Not, we don't want to go back because we don't want to enter into this same cycle again and again, which is full of suffering.
Yeah.
I think even we were asking, right, sir? I mean, I think last time when at the end of this one cycle, right? Oh, why didn't we learn this early on, right? It's similar kind of a thing, right? I mean, we were asking the question, oh, it would have been much better for to learn this while I was young, or right? Maybe it would be different kind of a thing, right?
Right,
yeah,
right.
Similar kind of a, right? That's what pretty much.
So only when our delusion is clear, then we will think of, oh, why didn't I learn it before? We feel that, oh, I lost focus for so many years. I should have done it. If our delusion is not clear, if our buddhi is not straight, right? Then we will not feel that. So some people who join these sessions, for them, again on internet I'm talking about. Let's say somebody is watching it. Then if their buddhi is not, clear of delusion, they'll think, oh, what is this person talking about? Again, what is this Bhagavad Gita all about? Is waste of time. Is wasting my time. It's not useful. The reason is that they did not get their buddhi cleared. The buddhi does not get clear unless you have the knowledge. First of all, you need to be at a certain state to even understand this. So that's why a lot of people don't even start. But once they, and they have to have blessings of Acharya, and then they need to surrender. Then they would start getting the proper knowledge. Then their buddhi starts, enlightening. Once it enlightens, then they understand, oh, this is the right thing, and what did I do so far? And then if I don't change, I will end up like this, which is disgusting. So I need to change. So I need to practice. So then we start doing the things that are given in Bhagavad Gita. Um, 6 minutes left.
Sloka, sir, let's try.
Another sloka?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Try to. Let's chant sloka 53. Shruti viprati-pannate.
Shruti viprati-pannate.
Yada sthasyati nischala.
Yada sthasyati nischala.
Samadhavachala buddhihi.
Samadhavachala buddhi.
Tada yogamavapsyasi.
Tada yogamavapsyasi.
Let's chant together.
Shruti
viprati-pannate. Yada sthasyati nischala. Samadhavachala buddhi. Tada yogamavapsyasi.
Lord Krishna is saying, Yada, when, te buddhihi, when your buddhi, Shruti vipratipanna, when well enlightened by continuous listening. Okay. when the buddhi is enlightened by continuous listening, well established, well enlightened by continuous listening, nischala, firmly placed. Nischala is firmly placed. Okay, when the buddhi is firmly placed, where samadhau achala sthasyati, remains unshaken in mind, manas. Samadhi is not the samadhi, the that we typically think of, right? Somebody going into samadhi like that. That is one meaning. That's the reason why we have to have proper guidance in understanding these slokas. So samadhi means the mind. Mind with achala buddhi is called samadhi. What is achala? Achala is unshaken. So here, sorry, before we describe some of the words here. So when the buddhi is well enlightened by continuous listening and firmly placed, and it remains unshaken in manas, right? So far, that's what we learn. Tada, then yogam avapsyasi, you will attain self-realization. So Lord Krishna, so he's talking about the buddhi, that equanimity buddhi. Then here he's saying Shruti Pratipanna. So we need to listen, only when we continuously listen to the discourses, to the knowledge, then our buddhi will be enlightened. If we just listen it one time, I mean, depending on the people, some people may be at a higher stage, so they may be able to get it immediately. But typically, we have to keep listening because of our vasanas are so strong that we will not be able to immediately understand and apply immediately. So first, listening, important. Continuously listening, thinking about it. The three things that we need to do: to listen, okay, then we have to think about it, remind ourselves about it continuously, okay, and then third is practice, okay. So we keep doing that, then our buddhi starts getting enlightened, and then the nischala buddhi becomes achala buddhi. So the difference between nischala and achala, both are not chala. That means both are not moving. So the difference is that, again, Sri Swamiji has given a very good example that when we place water in a glass, then you place the glass on the table, the water is not moving, right? So as the water will not move, the water in the glass will not move as long as you don't touch it. You don't shake the glass, right? So the water is not moving, is stable, is remaining stable. Now, but is it really stable? No, right? If as soon as you touch it, then the water overflows. Now, how can you make the water really stable, really, not moving?
Make it ice. Make it ice.
Freezing, right? So when you freeze it, then it becomes ice. Then even if you shake it, it will not. Even if you put the glass upside down, it will not. Right? So initially, this buddhi is like water in a glass, nischala. First of all, the water has to go into the glass and placed on the table. Right? It's like that, imagine. So our buddhi, the right buddhi is there going into our brain, into our, imagine we are getting that buddhi. So, but it is when we are faced with some difficulties, some external influences, that buddhi will go, right? We'll forget, or it becomes weak. We become weak. We get influenced by other things, just like how the water, it shakes. When we shake the glass, the water overflows. Like that, some external event occurs, immediately we forget our entire Bhagavad Gita and all the things, and we start our own way. So, but with constant practice, constant listening and constant practice, that buddhi becomes unshaken. It becomes achala. So that means no matter what happens outside, just like how the ice cannot be shaken from the glass, no matter what happens outside, we will not be shaken by the outside things. Our buddhi becomes stable. Now we'll be able to apply that buddhi, stable buddhi, and do the things properly, right? So that is achala buddhi. So when that happens, that is when you will attain self-realization.
So is Nischala is superior to Achala state, or Achala is?
Achala is superior to
vice versa. Yes, I think simple Hindi translation, Nischal is that is not moving, and Achal is that cannot be moved, so that's what it is. The liquid once in a glass, it's not moving, it's stable, but you could still move it. Achal is, it's solid as a rock, you can't move it. So, and Achal, I guess, is the higher thing, that's where you want to be, you want to be firm in your belief. You cannot be moved, you're totally convinced. So I guess that's Achal. Nischal is, okay, it's not moving, but it can move, like water, or we can move, we are Nischal, we are sitting still, we are Nischal, but still we are capable of moving, that physical.
Right. So imagine, as long as we are reading about Bhagavad Gita, as long as we are in a controlled environment, we are able to remember the concepts, we are able to apply a little bit, right? But as soon as we come out of that situation, right, you go into the real world, immediately you forget everything, and then start doing the whatever a deluded person does. Then the buddhi is not stable, like achala, right? So now it is there. It's not that it is not there. The buddhi is there with the person. Okay, it is well trained, but it is not stable to the state where it is not affected by the other influences. So that is the more difficult part. So only when it is not influenced by others, everything around, right? It is not influenced by the body. It is not influenced by the nature. Okay, it is not influenced by the experiences that we are going through. If we cross that, I mean, if that means our buddhi is stable. And with that buddhi, we will be able to attain self-realization. Not just by reading, chanting Bhagavad Gita a few times. No, it's not going to give anything to us. That is the knowledge that we need to fill our brain with. Then it has to become a nischala. Then it has to become achala. And then we will be able to. That cannot happen just like that. It requires practice. That's why in the previous sloka, Lord Krishna said that you need to practice well. So that practice is karma yoga. That's why for us, karma yoga is what we need to practice as a step one. Unless we do start with karma yoga, it doesn't become achala buddhi. Okay. So nishkama karma is another word that is used for doing the work without having expectations on the result. It is nishkama karma, right? Not driven by the desires to get the results. That's why we are doing the work. Then it is not nishkama. I mean, if we do the work only for getting the results, driven, motivated by the favorability of the result to us, then it is kama karma. So nishkama karma is the one that is going to lead us to the state of samadhi. Samadhi is where the buddhi is achala. It is fixed on the final goal, that is self-realization. So when our buddhi is focused on self-realization, that's what we want, then and it remains stable, not influenced by suddenly $1 million coming to us and immediately we start enjoying the $1 million, forgetting about okay, whatever happens to buddhi, I don't care. So then we are always focused on atma realization, then we'll be able to achieve self-realization. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good. Thank you so much. Really nice. Thank you, everyone. We'll conclude for today. We'll again continue next week. Jai Sri Narayana. We'll conclude with the concluding prayer. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va bhakti swabhavat karomi yajjat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. Srimannarayanayeti samarpayami. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha. Jai Sri Narayana.
Jai Shri Narayan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.